Warning. Wily's Rejects is a free-flowing conversation about gaming and geek culture that occasionally touches on sensitive topics. Listener discretion is advised.
And at one point, like all four of them, they're all just a mess and they're all in stitches. And there is this 30-second, maybe longer moment of all you can hear is them wheezing and trying to get it back together. And so I'll
great.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, so I have podcasts. And now, of course, my favorite comfort food podcast is the Wily's Rejects podcast.
Ooh.
See what I did there?
I see what you did.
See what I did there?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome
Hi.
to Wily's Rejects. Hey, welcome to episode 1.5.
Yes. God. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We won't go into what happened to episode 1, but
I'll go into it. I know because you know what? I'm mad at myself because it was a great episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is your lovely host, Spoiler Kevin, opposite me, and my name is Phil the Conquistadork, and we recorded the most luxurious, huge podcast of the century, podcast of the millennium. It was so good, and on his end everything was fine. And when I went to pick out my audio and everything like that, 90 minutes of dead air. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened, but I regret everything. I regret everything since that moment. So we're gonna make it up to you, and this is gonna be like that Tenacious D song tribute.
it's basically this is a tribute.
Yes.
It doesn't actually sound anything like that song.
Exactly. It's gonna have all kinds of material that's bonuses to us, but to you, it's just the episode. So there you have it. So welcome to Wily's Rejects. We are off to a great start.
All right. So, first on the agenda list.
Yes.
Let's see. We got the FNAF sister site.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing that's happening, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, is that that's not an official Scott Cawthon thing, is it?
I believe it is.
It is.
That's his.
Because I know. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the other thing.
Yeah, no. We're talking about FNAF sister site.
Yes, that is
sister
official,
location.
yes.
Oh, sister location.
Site location.
Site location. It's all the same thing. But yeah, so it's interesting to see Mr. Scott go into this. I mean, after the horror of Five Nights at Freddy's World or whatever.
Yeah, FNAF World. Oh man.
That was just a mess. And
he was. And you know what? In the day and age we live in of babies on the internet and that kind of thing, he was actually, because it wasn't a good game,
right.
But he was a class act about the whole thing. Like, he saw it and he was like, this is not good, I apologize. He refunded everything, or I don't know if he even charged. No, he did refund it, and then he brought it back later for free. Like, you can get it now for free. And like, come on, who does that? Like, admittedly, he can afford to, but still, that's a class act, if ever I heard one.
And you know what? I haven't heard anything bad about Scott Cawthon.
Cawthon, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's his name, Scott Cawthon, and he's the creator of the Five Nights at Freddy's series. I haven't heard anything bad about the guy.
No.
He's not an overwhelmingly public figure. I know he's a pretty private guy. He's surprisingly, I believe, a very religious guy.
Yeah. Proving once again that the scariest thing in the world is organized religion. My God. Yeah, already, right off the... I told that joke specifically so that some of our potential viewers could listen in and know right off the bat that maybe this was or wasn't for them.
Right off the bat, right about minute 3, we just had them just click the stop button and drag it right into the trash can.
No.
No. Heavens to Betsy.
Heavens to Betsy. So he's returning to the old school of if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. Yeah, and it's pretty fascinating though because he's returning to it at the same time. There are other games, and you alluded to one earlier. There's other games that have kind of taken the model and the world that he's created and the lore that he's created and expanded on it in a pretty interesting way. And one of them is the joy of creation.
That's what I was thinking
or
about.
The joy of the joy of creation, or the joy of creation reborn. I can't remember what the most recent version of it. But I do know that it's been Let's Players have been playing it and showing it off recently, and it's Five Nights at Freddy's, except you're in a house and you're being stalked by one of the animatronics, and you have to move around as quietly as possible.
Yeah.
And I first heard of it when a fellow YouTuber, Josh O'Barron, was playing it a few weeks ago, and then I think last week Markiplier actually played it and he had some pretty good moments in there. At one point, he tried to sneak up on Freddie, which ended predictably.
Of course. Because why wouldn't it?
But yeah, it's very fascinating to see. I think it kind of spins off into this bigger picture of a new breed of game designer and creator who is a little bit more willing to see their work turned into something greater than they initially intended.
Yeah. It's nice. Because he's so open about what he's doing. He's part of he's very much part of the community. He cares about it, and he's so involved in the outside of it. A great example being the Game Theory show with Matt Pat, which here's the thing, and I know you and I have talked about this before. I do not play FNAF. I've never played it. Nope. I own the first one because I think it was like 99 cents on Halloween, and I was like, well, fuck it, buy it. But I'm not going to play it. Because first off, I'm just not. No, thank you. And second off, I'm not really. It doesn't intrigue me on the gameplay level,
right.
But the lore is fascinating, and so I'll watch every video made about theories and all that stuff. And he was involved in like answering questions that Matt Pat might have, or giving them little hints and clues and that kind of thing. And there's something gleeful about what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He's having fun with it, which I think is so cool to watch. And he's letting other people have fun with it, which is why you get things like the joy of creation. I think that's fantastic and good for him.
Speaking of things that we wish did not have any fan games or sequels or existed at all, Phil, you just did a video on Super Duper Party Pooper, and I know you actually had a difference of opinion on this between you and Mr. Jim Sterling, who actually enjoyed it.
It's surprising because my video came out a handful of hours before his, racking up a paltry fraction of the views that his got. But he seemed to enjoy it. Now, for those of you who don't know, Super Duper Party Pooper is the sequel that no one asked for to the game that nobody wanted, which was There's Poop in My Soup, which is a game where you are a child on a series of balconies and you fire your shit mortar style up and down onto passersby. They don't have to. In that particular case, there's only one chance to drop it in someone's soup, thus the title. But you can as long as it hits the person, it's goal. And in this version, they shift things up a bit. It's half rhythm game and half shit firing simulator, which I'm sure is going to be a very popular genre moving forward. But he enjoyed it. He got something out of it. And you know what? And seeing it, I disagreed with him, but I totally saw where he's coming from. It pissed me off, this game. I was furious at this game, and actually sober. Sober-ish. I mean, like for what I was doing, I do a lot. For those of you who don't know, I host a Let's Play channel where I do reviews and Let's Plays, mostly Let's Plays, and generally, if you're watching my Let's Plays, I would say well over half of them, maybe close to 65% of them, I am into my cups. When I'm doing it, because what I inevitably do is I do them all in a row so I can set it up for the week, and so I sit myself down with a bottle of wine, and the first one I do, I'm having a glass of wine, and by the end of it, I'm completely shit plastered, and so and I'll watch them the next day, and some of them are just completely unusable, and I'm like, well, I'll put that one away and do another one to replace it, but this one it was an early one because let's face facts. I was intrigued. You receive a code to the sequel to There's Poop in My Soup a mere month and a half after its predecessor, making FNAF look slow in development by comparison. And so I was intrigued, and I wanted to have the episode up by release day, so I started with that one, and it infuriated me, not just because of the stupidity, because I can handle stupidity, but the sheer lack of anything special or anything interesting to me, like, because it starts out as a rhythm game. You are a famous YouTuber. In my case, I started out with Markiplier. I believe everyone starts with Markiplier, and you can unlock Total Biscuit and Jim and Jacksepticeye and Jesse Cox and right. I think some other people.
And Markiplier in his, I believe, dressed up as his Wilfred Warfstache alter ego. Yes,
absolutely. And you start that way, and it's got some music going for it. And you you are offered plates of food, and you for bonus points, you eat the food in time with the music, which actually, when you describe it like that, for a brand new game that just came out, not terrible, kind of interesting actually when you look at it from the outside there, but in practice it is far, far worse because. Here's a hint, any aspiring game designers out there, if you would like to make a rhythm game, and I suggest you do, what a great genre that is not exactly being taken to its fullest extent these days. Lovely, plenty of room to move up in rhythm gaming. Right. But before you do, make sure you know how to program rhythm games, because now don't get me wrong, I'm not the most accomplished musician in the world, but I do sing and I do play instruments and I do know how to keep a beat, and I was doing fine keeping the beat. The game disagreed with me. Claimed that I was not in fact keeping on beat, and you can watch it, and at first it starts out okay, like the first 3 or so it's like okay, got it, and then like the last 5 or 6 it starts fucking with me for no reason whatsoever. So anyway, you fill up your food that way, and then you turn around and drop trow and fire, there's no other word for it, fire turds at this crowd of people behind you that are dancing, and you get points, and so that's it. And if you get enough points, you'll unlock different cities, and they're all really racist, by the way. Like the first one you do is in China, and everyone behind you.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, they got
guy in the rice patty hat,
has the Fu Manchu mustache, and there's a geisha in there, and you're like, come on, man. Like, I think there's a geisha. Maybe I'm a racist, and I just made that up in my head.
There's a geisha.
Yeah, and it was just, and here's the thing: I'm not usually the first person to like start screaming racism and everything, but at that point, I just had enough. There was something about it that just brought out anger in me, because it was like, look, make your games, but no one because if you come out with a sequel to There's Poop in My Soup that shortly after the first one, what you're saying is, I willingly recognize that I am creating beauty bait and stuff that will make me money based on people watching other people play it on YouTube and laughing and going, oh, I'm going to get this game because Markiplier plays it.
Right.
it's fine when it's a game that you actually worked on and you care about, and a famous YouTuber picks it up and it gives you a boost. That's awesome. That's the coolest part about YouTubers. They can be tastemakers. They can help, get a game out there that might not otherwise have been known.
Right, like a Five Nights at Freddy's.
Exactly. I mean, is there any doubt in anyone's mind that FNAF would have been as big of a series without that push? And so it's a wonderful thing. And in this case, there's something so... I don't know. It brought out that idealist in me, where there was something so cynical and money grubbing about the whole thing that it just brought out the
big
worst
old
in me.
Poop covered cash grab.
Yeah, yeah, just shit all over your Benjamins. Shit all over your Benjamins. Which is
figuratively, literally, basically, however way you want to take that. It's probably accurate.
I'd also like to take a minute to announce that Kevin and I are starting a band called Shit All Over Your Benjamins. It's a hip-hop act. It'll be the whitest hip-hop act in the world.
I rhyme in a syncopated rhythm.
Now, here's a hip-hop tune in iambic pentameter. Hope you enjoy.
And 1 and 3 and 1 and 3.
Yeah, that'll be
rhyme on the downbeat.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be really good. People are gonna love it, dude.
It'll be great. Speaking of which, I actually do want to record a cover of the Hero of Rhyme. I've been doing it in my car.
The Starbomb song.
Yeah, the Starbomb song. I'm tempted to actually put that on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So we'll see how willing I am to embarrass myself.
It's really funny because Egoraptor, if all you know him from is his animations and Game Grumps, you wouldn't necessarily know. But the guy's got flow. The guy can really rap.
He can. He's really good at it.
He's really good. And I think I've already told you about this one. But if you haven't listened to his collaboration with Stamper and a couple other people for Fat Refund. Mm-hmm. You must. It's just a flawless song about doing your taxes, and it's so good. It is just too good. So that would be the cover I would want to do, and I would go to my grave at the age of 96. Yeah, right. Never having accomplished it correctly.
Right.
That's it. It would take more time than I have in my existence. So yeah. That'll be interesting. If you can do that, I say we talk about making that our theme song. That would be good.
Hey, if Gerard the Completionist can do a cover of, I think he did a cover of the Pokemon rap.
Well, didn't a lot of people do that? Like they sent out.
A lot of people did it.
Yeah.
I think Gerard did one, and I think Markiplier did one, and I want to say who else did?
There were a few people on that. I remember seeing that.
Yeah,
I forgot about
I remember there's when they did the announcement for the karaoke version of the album.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of people. Bunch of other YouTubers.
Yeah, I remember that.
And this was the first album, I believe. I don't know if there's a karaoke version.
Yeah, that was
for the second album.
Oh, I have no idea. But yeah, that was the first album.
Yeah.
So that's the. But you know what though? The thing about that game is that's kind of par for the course for me as far as what I usually do on my channel. I do a lot of indie titles, which means there are a few wonderful gems and there's a lot of garbage. But the good news is that I happen to know for a fact that you played and worked on a lot of gems all in a row most recently. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your Doom project, Kevin?
Yes. So I felt like I was working on it for about a month. So
was it? It feels like more. Like maybe it was just that you were talking about doing it for so long.
I was talking about it. So I started talking about it about a month before Doom 2016 actually came out.
Maybe that's
it was something that I had my eyes set, my sights set on for a while. So on my channel, actually, as a bit of differentiation. Well, whereas Phil does a lot of Let's Plays and reviews, I do more scripted videos. They take a while to produce.
It's a quantity versus quality thing that Kevin and I have. I put them out I put out videos 6 times a day, or 6 times a day. Oh God, no, 6 times a week. And they're my guerrilla warfare in the name of games journalism. And Kevin actually puts some polish and shine and production value onto them. So it's a trade.
I take about 2. It seems usually on average it's 2 to 3 weeks per video. So I really try to get 2 videos out per month. The most recent one is a retrospective of the Doom series, which actually starts before Doom because that Doom didn't exist in a vacuum. It had a kind of a run up. So it started before Doom with the id guys. With their previous works that led to Wolfenstein, which led to Doom, which led to a whole bunch of other stuff. And honestly, I did this for almost it's kind of selfish reasons because I just didn't want to really play the indie games that much anymore. I had missed a bunch of AAA titles in the past year.
Yeah.
Because I'd been doing Let's Plays of indie games. And I just didn't have time, so I missed Fallout 4. I didn't get to play XCOM 2 that much, and these have been games that I've been looking forward to for a year. So
right.
I changed the direction of my channel, and the first AAA title that really got this treatment, where I'm focusing on AAA titles, but I'm trying to focus on them in a way that is different than the Let's Play. Because let's face it, once somebody like Markiplier does a Let's Play of a game, there's not much point to a little guy doing a Let's Play of a game. It's just gonna
get swallowed up.
It just gets swallowed up in the SEO. So yeah, that's really in the weeds. But yeah, this is just some way for me to say, hey, yeah, I really enjoyed polished games, so I got to make a polished video on them. But yeah, I was really happy with how the Doom video turned out.
It's so well put together, and for any of you who have an interest in games history like I do, it's something you absolutely need to check out. I highly recommend it. He did a great job with it.
Oh, thank you, Phil. It means a lot for you to hear you say that.
I know.
And
it was hard to do, I'll tell you.
And the man himself, John Romero,
yes,
liked the tweet about the video. I mean,
holy shit!
That is awesome. I'm still a little bit buzzed from that.
That is awesome. That is that. I joke, but it's fucking great.
And it's not like I'm super nice to John Romero in the video.
Right.
He didn't do. There were some bad things that he did. There were some not great things. He got a little selfish. But you know what? He's a guy he has owned up to that. That's one of the things. He
seems like he's mellowed out with age. He's mellowed
out a lot, and he's owned up to a lot of the mistakes that he made, particularly in the late '90s when he was running Ion Storm.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's the Doom video that I was working on. And a couple, I'm trying some other things too. So I did a collaboration with Phil a couple weeks ago, called Point Counterpoint, which is kind of an ongoing series I want to do, just a fun video game debate show. We debated
fun.
We debated which Shadowrun game was better.
Yeah.
And not what you may be thinking, you little young ones who may or may not be listening to this, not one of the Shadowrun games that was recently released.
Although those are awesome.
Couple years ago. Although those are awesome.
Yeah.
No, if you were a video gamer in the 90s, you had 2 choices. Mm-hmm. Shadowrun for the SNES or Shadowrun for the Genesis.
That's right. And we both felt the same way.
We both felt the same way, but it's like writing an opposition piece in college. Mm-hmm. I decided to stick up for the SNES one.
And that's what's ironic about the whole thing is that everyone remembers the SNES one, which did have a great storyline. In all fairness, And everyone forgets the Genesis one. And the irony of that is I feel in retrospect that maybe I should have sat that one out. And when I realized that we were both into the Genesis one and let you, because basically you and I are the vocal minority in that situation.
Yeah.
It could have been the easiest thing in the world for you to find a person to argue for the SNES.
The funniest thing in the world is I post that video, and our friend Belmont Boy says, "Oh yeah, I love the SNES one," and I was like, "God damn it!
You should have asked Belmont Boy to do it." And I could have done the musical episode that you did with Belmont Boy.
Exactly. So the following week, I did a top 10 list with Belmont Boy and myself, and we picking some adrenaline pumping tracks for video games. And hey,
it was a great list, by the way.
I think both videos turned out really well, but. You're right. We probably could have switched. I probably could have switched you two, and it would have been.
And you know what? Looking at the list that y'all put together, it wouldn't have been that different of a list. It would have been basically the same. Mighty Number 9 is in the news.
Yeah. Speaking of Capcom.
Yeah. Ish. And that one, oh boy, they're in trouble. Like this better be a damn good game because people are really nervous. People are really, really nervous.
If people weren't already obligated to receive the game for backing it on Kickstarter, they would be in a really tough situation right now.
And that's exactly it. I know you backed it.
I did.
I did not. But I can remember I missed the backing date and I felt regret. Not because I felt like they needed my $20 or anything like that. They blew everything out of the water. But because I was so enthralled at what they were setting up that I felt like I was missing out on kind of getting in on the ground floor. And my God, because it's been in development since 1973.
I just get so angry every time I think about that stupid line.
Oh, yeah,
like an anime fan
on prom night. Oh, for God's sake!
It's like they don't even understand their audience.
Now,
I am not an anime fan by any stretch of the imagination. I know you're not either.
No.
But still. If you look down our Facebook friends list, there is you wouldn't even have to scroll down the page to get to an anime fan.
No.
We are friends with these people because
and especially people who like Mega Man, which has
they are also
animes.
People who like Mega Man and video games.
Yeah.
For the most part, there's a whole lot of, if you drew a Venn diagram and showed it to the marketing geniuses for Mighty Number 9. They would lose their shit.
It would have been like making fun of Star Wars. You'd be like, what are you doing? It is, just shooting yourself in the foot.
Hey, we got a new Star Wars game, you nerds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you like Star Wars, you big queer? It's like, I do. Are you seriously selling me Star Wars? Yeah, man, just $20. You have some Star Wars. You freaking nerd. And you're like, I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not. I do enjoy Star Wars. Check it out. And you're like, actually,
check it out. The nerd likes Star Wars.
Yeah, how long have you been working on that Star Wars movie? Like 3 years, you freaking nerd. And you're like, okay. Yeah, it's just, and it doesn't, and even beyond that, because for me, I was really frustrated with that trailer because I recently actually started working in the games industry. In marketing, I do content creation and marketing for the video games industry, and so I'm inundated with that stuff on a daily basis. And then to see that, I would have picked up and been pissed off about it no matter what. But to see that while I'm at work, I was like, I was there with a couple of my coworkers, and we looked at it and went, "What are they doing?" It was like watching Bernie Sanders get up in front of a rally of screaming fans and set himself on fire. Like, why is he doing that? Like, I like this guy. You know, I gave him money to his campaign, and it's so weird. But beyond that, on top of that, and it'd be one thing if you're just bitching about a trailer about what
it'd be one thing if it was just the trailer. Yeah.
But it doesn't look good. Nothing about it adds up.
It's been delay after delay, and the graphics have just regressed.
It'd be one thing if, like, the delays were, like, if it were reversed. If the footage we got today, as opposed to what they first came out with, if it was reversed, and they said, hey, we're delaying it, but take a look at how much better it looks now, I'd be like, fuck yeah, dude, delayed as long as it takes. Right on.
Yeah, it's delayed and looks worse. And what's funny about it is that it was done in Unreal Engine 3, which, Unreal Engine, that's a pretty good thing. I mean, but, Unreal Engine 4 exists. They're an entire engine behind.
And I'm not a technical guy, Kevin, so maybe you can clear this up for me. Is there a level of ease of use that comes from going with an older engine, or is it just basically leaving money on the table for all intents and purposes?
I mean, I don't know, man. I think it's Unreal Engine 4 is free.
Well, there it is then. So there's like literally just for no reason whatsoever, they basically
literally free. Epic Games said in their press release said, if you love something, set it free. And thus, Unreal Engine 4, which is one of the best engines you can get out there. There's the Crytek, you can use Unity, you can use Unreal Engine 4, and guess what? 2 of those are free.
Yeah.
So it's not a funding thing.
That's so bizarre. You wonder what's going through their heads. I mean, it'd be one thing with a lot of game companies, especially bigger AAA developers, when they make certain decisions, you can go, oh yeah, it's about the money. Or, oh yeah, it's about this. Like, you can usually pinpoint it, and you're not happy that you know why, but at least you know why. When things like this happen, I think that's why people kind of flip out a little bit, because we just don't have any explanation as to why they made these decisions.
Right. And is it... I mean, and I don't know who to blame. And I don't even know if there's anyone to blame yet. And that's kind of the thing is...
Well, they did say that wasn't them, right? At least the trailer. That wasn't Infume and his people. Like,
the trailer... I believe the trailer was Deep Silver, the work of Deep Silver, who is the company that is publishing the game.
Right. Like, they basically came out and said, we don't know what the hell that's all about.
And Deep Silver is responsible for... let's see, games like Stalker,
right?
Dead Island, which is another series that has run into
very
issues.
Questionable advertising and marketing. That also, I didn't even. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
A perpetually pushed back sequel on Dead Island 2.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not developing these games; they're publishing them. But still, it's weird. And also, to make things just a little bit worrisome, is another Kickstarter game that they're publishing, Bloodstained, which is...
and I really, really am looking forward to that. That's another one.
Yeah, and I hope it doesn't run... And Bloodstained, by the way, is using Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm... And they're also going to be publishing The King of the Fighters. Wow, 14? King of Fighter 14?
That wouldn't surprise... That franchise has been around since God was a boy. Like, that wouldn't surprise me if it were that high.
Yeah, no, being developed by good old SNK. I mean, I relish SNK's return to relevancy.
Yeah. And that actually brings us to, speaking of trailers that everyone's pissed off about, we're going to kind of almost take the opposing stance here. Kind of, but not. But I mean, it makes sense logically.
Well, and I can see how it's tied together because, we're not passing judgment on Mighty Number 9 yet.
Exactly.
We're saying
haven't played
it looks
yet.
bad, and the marketing has been awful. the next topic here is the new Ghostbusters movie, which also looks bad.
Yep.
And the marketing has been awful.
Yeah.
But
the level of just poop your pants insanity that has gone about in response to that one, like at least with Mighty Number 9, not that I know of, I haven't seen any death threats getting thrown around. I haven't seen anybody like making serious ugly accusations or anything like that. It's just people being genuinely concerned and having their expectations tamped down a little bit.
Right.
With this,
you got a whole new thing with Ghostbusters.
New thing. Yeah.
You got James Rolfe basically crossing his arms and saying, "No, I'm not going to review it."
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, so for as well spoken as James is, and his reasons, he outlined his reasons well. I'm going to give him that, right? He outlined his reasons well. He had a statement and a body and a conclusion. You know, all three things you need in any written word.
Right. Right.
but
to be taken seriously. Yeah.
To say that I am going to draw the line in the sand here on this remake is, I don't know, it just feels weird. To say this is the one that we draw the line in the sand about, because let's be honest, we've lost the war on remakes.
Yes, we absolutely have.
It used to be it used to be a thing where people were like, "Oh, remakes, what are they going to remake next?" And then it would just be insert famous movie that everybody assumed should never be remade.
Yeah.
And you know, we just kind of got to a point where everybody was like, "Yeah, I don't care." Like they just didn't have the fight in them anymore to fight against the remake tide. And now Ghostbusters comes out, and everybody's upset again about remakes, and be like, "No, man, you can't just jump back in." I mean, we thought it was okay. Everybody just kind of thought it was okay. You know, they're gonna remake Back to the Future.
Right.
They're gonna. I mean, they haven't said anything, but it's gonna happen.
Come on, yeah. I give it. I give it less than a decade. I mean that.
2025. I'm gonna say Jaws, the Jaws remake. Although Jaws. Although with Sharknado, I think we have enough shark stuff.
We have the millennial version of Jaws.
Right, which is Sharknado.
I mean, we've remade The Nightmare on Elm Street, Your Friday the 13th, RoboCop,
Ocean's 11.
It's and look. We all love Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is an excellent film and a magnificent piece of comedy. Harold Ramis was a god, and now he looks over us from heaven, and that's wonderful. But to draw the line in the sand here feels arbitrary. It feels arbitrary to the point that while I am not one of those people who claims that anyone who doesn't like the idea of Ghostbusters remake is a sexist. I'm not going to go there. I don't believe that. I know people.
I don't believe that either.
I know people have made good arguments for it, but it has gotten so over the top in its hatred without a shred of footage outside of a 2-minute trailer that I understand why people assume that.
Yeah.
Because there aren't a lot of reasons. There just aren't.
It is a strange, visceral reaction.
Yeah.
And it feels, even if you don't like it based on what you've seen in the trailer. And I don't like the trailers. I think they've been poorly cut.
No.
And if you don't like it based on that, fine. You don't like the trailer. You can't say you don't like the movie yet.
Yeah, because you haven't seen it.
You can say, I am not interested in seeing the movie based on the trailer.
Yep.
Great. Your entrance, your point in the discussion is over.
Exactly.
You know, you can leave the discussion now.
Yeah.
You have said your piece. You can just leave the discussion and just let other people talk about it.
That's how I felt about Superman versus Batman. I said,
exactly.
I looked at it and I went, I don't feel good about this. I have no interest in seeing this, and I stayed out of it.
And me too. And I stayed out of it, and then I read the entire plot, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty glad that I stayed
Feels like
out
we
of
made
it.
the right call. I mean, again, haven't seen it, so I'm not going to take any hard stance on it. But based on what everyone says, feels like it made the right call. But we're saying that with the benefit of the movie being fucking released. You know, just we don't know yet. Do I think that it looks like it's gonna be amazing or halfway as good as the first movie? No, I don't. I don't feel good about it either. But I'm not pooping my Pampers and losing my shit. Like, it just feels arbitrary. It feels random to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it comes from. I don't. I cannot put my finger on it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think I understand where it comes from. I think I understand the idea of being so overprotective of something that you believe is yours.
Yeah.
And I think Ghostbusters is one of those things where people, I don't know, it's not just a movie at a certain point. It's almost like it's part of the fabric of their very being.
Right.
And I hate this when people say this. Oh, you know, you're ruining my childhood. And it's bullshit, because no, they are not, because you choose whether you now hate your own childhood because something in the future happened. Like,
right.
that is all on your side of the table there.
Right.
But I can understand the just kind of like that knee jerk ugh. You know, there's that knee jerk ugh.
Yeah, sure.
And that I understand but at the same time, you are a human fucking being.
Yeah.
And these are actual people. Like, Jesus goddamn Christ, can you just cool it on the death threats? Like, people are giving death threats to Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd, who has actually seen the movie and said
who was
it
part
was
of the
good.
original.
He was part of the original. Didn't he co-write it with Harold
I believe
Ramis?
he did. I believe it was him and Ramis.
He co-wrote the thing that you are defending. He is one of the creators of this religion that you are ascribing to. It is like, oh man, it is like L. Ron Hubbard going, hey, you know what? Yeah, this thing isn't so bad. And Scientologists are like, fuck you, L. Ron
Give
Hubbard.
us Barabbas! Just, and I think, and it's weird. But you know what? If you're listening and you're just fuming at what, or even genuinely scared about the cultural landscape of tomorrow and everything like that, look. We survived the prequels. We survived the Star Wars prequels. We're okay.
We made it through together, everybody.
Yeah, we held hands and we got through it. And frankly, the greatest film of all time, The Godfather, and probably the second greatest film of all time, The Godfather 2, survived Godfather 3. We can get through the Ghostbusters. Look, I love the Ghostbusters. But the level of importance that you're giving it is that of a martyred saint. And it goes a little... Look, I don't know how young some of you are. Kevin and I are old enough to have actually lived through the actual goddamn satanic panic, where the stuff that geeks actually enjoyed, like Dungeons and Dragons and video games and stuff like that... Oprah Winfrey and Sally Jesse Raphael and everybody else on daytime TV.
Ooh, and Phil Donahue.
Oh, no, let's not forget that silver-haired bastard. Oh, they were filling our parents' heads full of the idea that if you played these games and lived in this fantasy world for a few hours at a time, then you were going to join a satanic cult and kill your friends and your family and yourself. And it was all fantasy. It was all a lie. And we lived through that. And I watch this shit happen, and I'm like, God damn it, you're proving I'm right. Like, we're actually threatening to kill people. At least me and my buddies over here being quiet and playing D&D are gonna be ignored while they cart you assholes off to the freaking funny farm because you didn't like that it was all girls and political correctness is out of control. Calm down. Like, just take a freaking breath. Get laid. You'll feel better. It's a little much. And I know I'm resorting to geek stereotypes with that, but I'm a geek, so fuck you.
And you know who also you should leave alone is the developers of No Man's Sky.
Oh, for God's sake. It keeps happening.
We know nothing. I mean, we know some things about No Man's Sky. It's basically like, Minecraft in space.
We know less about No Man's Sky than we do about the new Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, people are more excited about it.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
It is weird.
It's excited enough to issue death threats to, I believe, the developers gotten death threats. I believe reporters
the guy who reported, well, it was a Kotaku writer who reported, it was a private source. It hadn't been made public yet. And so he reported, we have a private source that says that this might be delayed until August. And people threatened his life for suggesting. Like, he wasn't even saying, fuck you guys, I delayed your stupid shitty game. Bring it on. No, he was just like, look, I heard this rumor and maybe this might happen. I think that was it. Oh my God. Oh my God! It
was Jason Schreier, of Kotaku.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin, I'm not a pearl clutcher by any stretch of the imagination.
But do I need to roll out the fainting couch for you?
It goes a little far, and it's stuff like, and I know you and I've talked about this in the past. It's stuff like this that put me off being a game journalist for about a year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to get into the field. I wanted to start writing it and putting it out there. I wasn't even thinking about YouTube at this point. I was just thinking about doing a blog. And then you start really paying attention and you see how ugly it can get. And I put it off because I was like, Jesus, why would I want to attract this kind of nonsense?
Why do you want to, like, even chance it? But you know what? I think the thing that we really have to remind ourselves is that the vast majority of geek and video game culture is good, kind, caring, and hardworking people, and it's just a few assholes out there.
You're absolutely right.
They're just in there, and they view the comments section as a war each and every day.
Yeah.
And they make it their personal mission to just scare and belittle others that have different opinions and others that might scare and shake them of their own little worldview.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that you brought that up because it is true. It is the minority. That is a fact. You look at the vast majority of the people out there; they're still supportive. They're smart, well-spoken people, and you've got a vocal minority. Unfortunately, sometimes that's all it takes. To scare you or to leave you with a little hate in your heart. But the fact of the matter is that is true, and it's important to remember that, especially when stuff gets kind of scary or ugly. You know, just remember out there that if you're engaged in a discussion with somebody who may disagree with you, that person, the majority rule is that person is not your enemy. That person is not out to kill you or to fuck with you or to hurt you. Most people if they're on there, they want to have a discussion. If they're ugly, then they're assholes. But let's just try to be nice to each other. Let's try to have civil engagement on the internet. To bring up a couple of my favorite guys again, recently, Jim Sterling posted a video about Overwatch and the microtransactions therein. And they're only cosmetic microtransactions, but his argument was that it was still a bad business practice, as much as he loves the game. Total Biscuit, on the other hand, came out and disagreed entirely and came out with a video that was twice as long. And everyone for a minute there, felt like they had to take sides, and they were like, "Oh man, he really dressed him down."
Jim Sterling versus Total Biscuit.
and Jim Sterling and Total Biscuit both basically came out and went, "We're really good friends, and we see each other's points, we agree to disagree, and we're not." That's and people are, and it was amazing how many people are like, wait, you mean actual civil discussion on the internet?
I don't know how to handle this.
Right, so remember, there are people out there. I prescribe it to three different groups when the ugliness comes. A, trolls. There are trolls, ton of them. So I don't even bother. Don't feed the trolls. B, the people who are just, there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them, and they actually are unwell, and
they should be receiving some sort of help.
Yeah, and those people you don't want to engage because more out of pity than anything else. It's just these people need help.
Right.
And then there are the people who are just geeks who have been pushed around for a little while, because as mainstream as geekery is these days, it wasn't that long ago that it was something you kept very, very close to your belt, and you didn't talk about it that much. And they're used to being the ones who are bullied so much that they are completely unaware of it when they become the bullies, or they think that it's justified for that reason.
Right.
And all three of those groups of people are beneath engagement, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested in engaging with them. At least with the last group, if you lead by example, then you have a chance of... Because it happened to me. I can remember taking things a little too far. Not necessarily... Not nearly this far. But I can remember being young and passionate about... I'm nowhere near young and passionate anymore. But I can remember that... I can remember that feeling of something that I cared about, however inconsequential it might have seemed to the rest of the world, just filling me full of vitriol and me being ready to argue at the drop of a hat.
There's a burning that you just feel that fire to go out there.
And growing up and getting a little older, I saw people that I admired and people that I respected, and saw how they handled themselves, and I went, I like that. I like the way he's doing. I'm gonna try to be more like them. And if it weren't for those people, I might still be that kind of person. So honestly, I think, in my opinion anyway, the best thing to do is lead by example. That's good advice for anything, by the way.
Yeah.
Just be that person that you wish you saw when you felt that pissed off.
Be the change you wish to see in the world.
I was about to say, we got very what is it, Young Life there, didn't we? We got very after school Christian sermon there.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because neither of us believe in God.
That's true.
We just want everyone to be nice. We just want you to be nice. Why is that
a couple
so
of
hard?
Agnostic atheist types just saying, hey, be cool, everybody.
Hey, let's all be cool, man. They're called games for a reason. Let's play games together.
They're games. It's games. It's all fun.
Don't have to shoot each other. I mean, we'll shoot each other, but it'll be for pretend.
It's fake shooting. I mean, it's real shooting in the game, unless it's fake shooting like Splatoon.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and so what else have you been playing? I know you did a review recently of a little game in a genre that I have absolutely no interest in going into.
Yeah, that's
I feel like I've talked about this at length. Glitch horror is the untouchable genre for me.
Yeah.
If I even think about it, I start getting a little
Well, you're a tech guy. I mean, that makes sense.
And I am a tech guy, so glitch horror just really cuts right to the soul.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Pony Island.
Pony Island is wonderful. I loved it. It's the kind of horror I dig. I don't care for jump scares, not because I'm a giant puss. I mean, that's incidental. I like creepy horror. I'm an H.P. Lovecraft guy. I like the permanent damage of horror, the horror that sits deep in your soul. I don't care for like that doesn't. That's you feel terrible for a second, and then you're like, oh, okay. Like,
okay, well that's over.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit of that goes a long way. It can work. Like Alien Isolation was one of my favorite games of last year, and
right.
that definitely had jump scare, but it was done well. And this is a game where, upon initial glance, the conceit of the game is that it's a endless runner, a cute pony runner. You're jumping over hurdles and firing lasers from your unicorn horn and flying over things with wings and all that shit. But it very quickly becomes clear that the arcade cabinet that you're playing on is possessed by Satan and his minions, and I mean that literally. Like demons, several demons possess the computer, and you are part of it. Like you never really get the full. I'm sure they give it to you. Like like a lot of games lately, it has a true ending, quote unquote. But it's you don't know the full extent of who you are. I get the impression that maybe you're dead or something like that. And it's like trying to escape the machine. And it quickly goes into hacking mini games, and it pulls a Psycho Mantis on you. There's a wonderful moment where you're talking to this demon, and this demon asks you to say something filthy. Says, say something filthy. And I wrote, fuck your sister's hairy twat or some damn thing. And he laughs, wonderful, wonderful, filth. And then you're on Steam, and I get a instant message from one of the people on my friends list saying, fuck your sister's hairy twat. Really? LOL, blah, blah, blah. And it's the game fucking with you. It's like I said, it's Psycho Mantis reading your memory card and messing with you, and it's effective. It's effective. Even I can imagine, even if you're replaying it, it still has that unsettling quality, and it's wonderful. And it took me about 2 hours to beat. It cost you $5. I'm definitely gonna replay it because there are tickets to get. And a true ending in store that I definitely want to see. But I did. That's my most recent review from this past Friday.
And speaking of Pony Island, just want to give a quick plug to there's a guy that Phil and I discovered. He was actually, his video was randomly on the related videos of Phil's review. Is a fellow named Mr. Joy.
Mr.
YouTuber
Joy.
named Mr. Joy. And he just puts out the best weird video game reviews,
and has a criminally low subscriber count. I'm not talking about low thousands. I'm talking about, like, last time I checked, I think it was like 160 something, and and it's stupid, and it makes zero sense.
There's no justice in the world.
It makes no sense.
Go take a look at Mr. Joy's stuff.
Mr. Joy. Oh, he's
enjoy
so
it.
good.
It's weird and lovely.
He's got a great twisted kind of sense of humor, and he's very insightful. He's got good production values. Yeah, I believe he's a Canuck, and I love the Canucks, so check him out. I've also been I've been playing C14 Dating.
Carbon 14 Dating.
Yeah,
I get it. Pun.
Yeah, I didn't realize, I was doing the second episode, and I checked the hashtag, and C14 Dating is another word for carbon dating, which I did not know, and which makes the SEOs kind of a pain in the ass, but what are you going to do? I was like, what are you doing to my show? But I'm not a dating sim guy. I'm not an anime guy. I got this one from the developer. I believe they're called Winter Wolves, and I played through it, and this is not my kind of thing. And I've literally never played another dating sim or visual novel unless you count Honey Pop, which I most certainly do not. I love Honey Pop, and that is not a visual novel nor a dating sim.
He's not ashamed of that one.
Oh, I was. I held a little reservation, but then I played through it again. I was like, you know what? This is a good game, and it happens to have a little porn to it. I'm not ashamed of that.
You know what? Speaking of, just as a quick aside,
yeah.
One of my favorite side effects of, and this is a spoiler alert for Undertale, if you haven't gotten around to playing Undertale, And 3, 2, 1. All right, here's some Undertale spoilers. But one of the side effects of this one particular scene in Undertale is when the game forces itself to crash. A lot of Let's Players happen to have their Steam page library right on there. So when the game crashes, they're like, "Oh, WTF, whatever," and they go when they relaunch Undertale. But the funny thing is, you can clearly see Honey Pop right there in their library.
I thought you were going to say, like, they clearly had, like, windows of porn open underneath.
No. I just think it's great. The number of people you could actually see if you go back and watch those Undertale videos when it crashed.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. But, so I'm playing this game, and I put out the first step. It was just supposed to be a first impressions video. 9 out of 10 of my videos are what I call first impressions. And what I do is I play 15 to 30 minutes of the game, usually from a beginning point, to give you an idea of what the game's about and my first impressions. And that was what it was supposed to be. And I put it out, and I had several of my friends who are visual novel people and are anime people come to me privately and be like, you need to keep playing this game because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and I can't stop laughing. And so I was like, so my frustration amuses you, which is, of course, the MO of most YouTube channels.
Yeah, fellow YouTuber Akamari has basically taken up a hobby of just commenting on Phil's videos about how awful he's doing at it.
Akamari's terrific, and Akamari at least made me feel better about it, because Akamari got on there and said, this is not a good dating sim. Like, it's not just you. Which made me feel a ton better, because at first I was like, God, how do people play these games? It's so dull, and
But it's good to know that there are better ones out there.
Apparently, and Akamari is apparently considering doing a good dating sim, so I can see what that's all about. Thanks very much, Akamari, by the way, for watching me screech and scream. Please check out Akamari's channel; it's really good. So I've been doing that one. Most recently, though, I guess. Did you play Watchdogs? Did you play that one?
I played. I was so excited for Watchdogs.
Oh, sure, everyone was.
I was super excited for Watchdogs. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be like the thinking man's Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
And I mean, I am well aware of how stupid that sounds now. I too am in the future, to steal a joke from Mike Birbiglia.
Right, exactly.
And so I pre-order, which I don't do anymore. I pre-ordered Watchdogs, and this is exactly why I don't pre-order anything ever again. I pre-order Watchdogs, load it up, haven't even read a review, and I start playing, and it's like it is just the epitome of
just mediocre.
Mediocre, loose controls. It had probably. So if you're coming at an open world and your experience is Grand Theft Auto, right? Grand Theft Auto, for as vulgar and violent as it can be, and say what you will about that, it is a tight, polished game with good controls. Yeah. Watchdogs is not. Yeah. And that is basically it. When you're driving, it just feels like you're driving on an ice skating rink. Yeah. And you're definitely not driving a Zamboni. I remember the only way to get anywhere was to steal a motorcycle, because for some reason the motorcycle mechanics worked, but the cars did not. So I played it for, I don't know, I wasted like 3 or 4 hours on it before giving up forever. Right. Maybe it got better with patches or whatever. In that time, though, I thoroughly stopped caring about Watchdogs.
Yeah, and that's just it, because I know exactly what you mean when you're talking about that conflicted feeling of Grand Theft Auto. Years ago, when the fifth one came out, I wrote an essay called "The Grand Theft Auto Thing," in quotes, where I talked about how Grand Theft Auto 5 was one of the greatest games I'd ever played in my entire life, and yet there were so many moments that I didn't respect, and I cringed, and I just it was like the biggest brodozer in the world made the most entertaining game I'd ever played. And so, yeah, with Watchdogs, I was really hoping for that sense of balance, a sense of smarts to the whole thing. And they live streamed today the first look at the second one. Which, did they give it a release date, or at least a year? I forget. I want to say, I might be thinking of another thing. I think it's next year. Hold on. Release. Release date announced. Fuck me, rigid. I should have done the research. Yeah, it's November. It's November.
Okay.
I thought I was talking about. Never mind. Doesn't matter. It's coming out in November, and despite myself, because I did learn my lesson,
Right.
it looks really good.
Yeah.
It looks really, really good.
Yeah, I'll have to actually check it out.
Yeah, and the main character seems way more interesting. He's actually got some. He's got a little more character to him than a frumpy white guy. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean he's not a grim dark white guy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's not a Batman clone.
Yeah,
Who has a past. I have a past. I have such a past. It's such a hard
Swear
past.
to me! Yeah,
My past is pastier than your past.
My past. My parents are dead.
My parents are dead. My daughter's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, my family's dead. My dog is dead. Pick a thing and it's dead.
But it looks good, and it looks like, based on what they were saying about it, at this point, it looks like everything is pointing towards them having learned their lesson.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of June, and this is the first look we're seeing at it, and it's coming out in November, as opposed to the first Watchdog, which of course was hyped up like the second coming of Christ.
For years.
Yes.
I think it was like it was a 2-year campaign before it came out.
Oh yes, and little things like how the entire map is unlocked from the beginning, like a Grand Theft Auto game. To be fair, it just looks sharper. The storyline looks more interesting. The graphics, as they are, look great. And again, we've seen this before. We could get the rug pulled out from us. And I definitely don't think that this is the kind of thing to rescind your do not pre-order policy, because I'm not, and I don't think anyone else should.
I mean, I think it's
no point.
safe to say. There's no point. It's always safer not to pre-order. And I think pre-ordering, it just gets the developers and publishers off the hook, you know?
That's it. That's all it is. It's not for you.
Right. It's not for you. It's for them.
Yeah.
And I think, I want to say this is probably going to be, well, not probably. This could be comparable to the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Right.
Which, if you recall correctly, the first game came out, and it was good. So Assassin's Creed 1 is better than the first Watchdogs game, by any stretch of the imagination. But the series doesn't really shine until you introduce the character of Ezio in Assassin's Creed 2. I mean, that is where the series got made.
Right.
People I don't even think anybody remembers who the guy was from the first one.
No one does. It was Dark Ages. That was all. That's all I remember.
I believe he was Middle Eastern. But no, you got number 2, you get Ezio. And I think Ezio is like the protagonist for the next 3 games they released in the series.
I think it was the next 3 games, actually. Yeah.
And that's when the series starts to shine. So I'm hoping that it's a parallel with Watch Dogs, and they're both Ubisoft, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, no, that would be. So
this is definitely. I know. Yeah. Ubisoft, of course. Yeah.
It would not be unprecedented for Ubisoft to come back with a better sequel than the original.
No, not even close. But expectations tempered. Excitement kept in check.
Totally.
It looks like it might be really good.
Maybe.
It looks possibly. I'm looking forward to it. I'll give it a play. especially when you consider it's a completely different storyline. You don't have to have played the first one to get anything out of this one.
Right. You can clearly tell that they're trying to just be like, you know what? Forget that.
Yeah.
In fact, we're just going to call this new one Watchdogs as well. Forget the 2.
Yeah.
Forget the first one existed.
Yeah.
Sort of like, and it's not beyond game companies to do that. Like with with what was it? Deus Ex. I mean, the first Deus Ex game is remarkable, and it's a stunning achievement, and it's probably the only good thing that Iron Storm released. But when the new generation of Deus Ex games came out, I remember talking to somebody who was on the youngish side. They were like, "Oh, what do you mean? There was a previous Deus Ex game?"
Wow.
I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
There was.
It was a classic too. Man.
Yes.
Yeah, so that came out, today's June the 8th. So that came out today, which surprised me, to be completely honest. Also, speaking of which, there was a Deus Ex live stream, which I didn't watch. Ooh. It's like 15 minutes of, I saw a little bit of it. It looks really cool. That's another one I'm looking forward to. I was surprised that either of those happened, to be completely frank, with E3 happening next week.
Right. It seems a little weird to for them to be kind of like jumping the gun like that. I mean, E3 is, but maybe they
got something even better for E3. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe they just don't want them lost in the shuffle of E3 as well. There's going to be so many things announced at E3. There's going to be hardware things announced. I believe Nintendo is skipping the event, correct?
They're only doing one thing. It's the new Legend of Zelda, which I believe is the very last game that's going to be for the Wii U.
Okay, yeah.
Until it's just going to be a Legend of Zelda until the new N console is released. Oh, speaking of which, I'm going to Anaheim for the Call of Duty Major League Gaming event this weekend, and just in the nick of time, I bought a Nintendo 3DS because
perfect timing.
Fuck reading on the plane. Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right, guys?
You could be playing Fire Emblem. So get to it.
Fuck it. I haven't owned any new Nintendo anything since the N64.
Yeah, I bought a 2DS last week for my birthday.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's funny. Small world.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know what? I'm gonna buy myself a mobile system because I am tired of playing games on my phone.
Right.
It is literally the worst.
Well, they're all the same. I mean, they're all the same. Although I will tell you, if you haven't played Clash Royale, that is a fairly addictive mobile game.
Yeah.
But you know what's hilarious about it? I get this new shiny 3DS, and I know they're coming out with a new one, or they already have, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's new for me. And they come out with this new thing, and I can get, as you said, I can get Fire Emblem, and I can get Bravely Default, or
a whole ton of Phoenix Wright games.
Yes, exactly, or Phoenix Wright and everything. And I went ahead and looked up all the old retro games you can download for it. Because not only can you get old NES and SNES games, there are Game Gear games on there, including Shining Force, The Sword of Hadja, which was the Game Gear Shining Force game. Did you ever play Shining Force?
Oh, yes. I love Shining Force. I totally forgot. They forgot that there was a Game Gear Shining Force exclusive.
And it was my favorite of all of the Shining Force games. I played all of them, but The Sword of Hadja was my favorite, and I just played it over and over again. And it's literally the least expensive game on the Nintendo Marketplace. It was like
that is hilarious.
Yeah, it's $4, and I was like, yoink, are you kidding me? And I went ahead and bought, hold on, what is it called? Be right back, hold on. I'm still here.
He's still there.
I'm here, guys. Oh, yeah, here it is. I bought NES Remix.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun game.
So I bought this new shiny handheld thing, and I bought old games with it, basically.
Yeah, that's basically what it was like. It was like, hello, nostalgia device.
That's really what it is for me. So yeah, I've got that going with me over the weekend.
Oh man, that is hilarious.
Yes, indeed.
Well, sir, I believe we could probably call that an episode.
I think so.
I think that was pretty action-packed.
I think it was. I thought that the kung fu battle at the 33rd minute marker was particularly well choreographed.
Yes, it was a shame that I'm gonna have to cut it out because the microphone.
All of the racial slurs we were shouting. It was just a real shame.
Yeah. Well, so my name is Spoiler Kevin. You can check out my YouTube channel at it's youtube.com/spoilers to follow, which was the old name for the channel. Shut up. And he is Phil the Conquistadork, which I believe yours is youtube.com/El Conquistadork.
Yes, El Conquistadork. It's Spanish for the Conquistadork.
Yes.
And that's also my Twitter handle as well.
And my Twitter handle is @SpoilerKevin. So, hey, thanks for watching Wily's Rejects. I would love it for you to go ahead and punch the subscribe button really hard.
Tell your friends.
This is a brand new channel that we're starting just for our collaborative work. So go ahead and slap that subscribe button, as Jacksepticeye would say, like a boss.
Do it, people. Do it. You will not regret it. Or maybe you will, but you'll regret it in a fun way.
Yes, and at least regret it later.
Exactly. Rather than never find out that sweet, sweet regret.
Best sign off ever.
Bye, people.